Some just amazing stuff here I need to share with you. The Public Broadcasting Service, PBS, public television, public radio, NPR, all that, they announced yesterday that they have caved, it was last night, that they have caved to Trump and shut down their DEI program, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Office, in order to comply with Donald Trump's executive order. Now, he's ordering private businesses to do this. Can you imagine if a Democrat had ordered private businesses to do anything around DEI, how Republicans would react? Again, we're getting this milquetoast response from Democrats, but this is outrageous. And then on top of that, and here's my point around this. If PBS and NPR, think that doing away with their diversity office is going to help them in any way with this administration, they have their head in the sand. Brendan Carr, who's the new commissioner of the FCC, is a Project 2025 author. And he has explicitly called for PBS and NPR to not only be defunded at the federal level. Now, the federal funding for NPR is only a couple of percent. It's single digits. For public broadcasting television service, it's more. I think it's around 15%, or somewhere in that neighborhood. So number one, he wants to do away with that. But then secondly, where do they get their money? They get their money from running, what are called underwriting statements, where they say things like, this hour brought to you by Tom Dwyer Auto Service here in Portland, great guys with great knowledge about cars. And it doesn't have a call for action. It doesn't say, call, although sometimes it will have the phone number, but it doesn't say call it. There's not a verb. And there's no adjectives, typically, or very few. There's very specific guidelines that NPR and PBS have worked out over the years to make all this legal. And now Brendan Carr wants to essentially say, the FCC wants to say, we're going to change the rules. And we're going to change the rules in ways that are going to make it a lot harder for your underwriters to get results. I mean, if the car dealership here in Portland can't put an ad up that says, here's the name of our dealership, or here's our website, or here's our phone number, then why bother giving money to Oregon Public Broadcasting? By the way, I'm just pulling this example out of the air. I have no idea if Tom Dwyer, who is a real car mechanic here in Portland, one of the very best, I have no idea if he's actually buying ads on NPR. It's just for example. But the bottom line is that they're after NPR. And this is the strategy that Vladimir Putin did in Russia. This is the strategy that Viktor Orban did in Hungary. It's the strategy that al-Sisi did in Egypt. It's the strategy that Erdogan did in Turkey. It's this. We've seen this in country after country after country, where a democracy elects a guy who's a wannabe autocrat, and the first thing he does is he goes after the free press, the media, typically through lawsuits, but also through government action. And Trump is doing both. He's sued ABC, NBC, CBS. He's sued multiple outlets. He's sued a little newspaper in Iowa and the Reporter, turning her life upside down. Why? Because they want to shut up, people like me. They want to shut up everybody who might speak out against them. And they want to turn the Public Broadcasting Service and NPR into, if not an organ of state propaganda, which would be their ideal situation, and they will do if they get an opportunity to. I mean, now we've got Marco Rubio over the State Department talking about how we've got to shut down Radio Free Europe and Radio Liberty because they piss off Vladimir Putin. But if not turning them, PBS and NPR, into organs, state propaganda organs, at the very least, you're going to start hearing and seeing their coverage be more and more and more milquetoast, more and more deferential, more and more, well, the president seems to be taking a strong stand here, instead of, the president just broke the law. So get ready, friends. Meanwhile, Morgan J. Freeman, now I tried to confirm this morning. I plugged it into search engine, and it came back, yes, that this is actually the Morgan J. Freeman. His Blue Sky and Twitter accounts have both said the same thing. He says, my insurance, Anthem Blue Shield Blue Cross, just informed me that my cancer follow-up MRI to check spread was deemed not a medical necessity and therefore not authorized. Now, I'm pretty sure Morgan Freeman is over 65, so he must have a Medicare Advantage plan. Somebody, if anybody listening, if you're listening right now and you know Morgan, and I know that we've got a large audience in Los Angeles, I believe he lives there, tell him to get off Medicare Advantage and get with Real Medicare. Real Medicare will pay for your MRI. But this is just another example of, how we're getting screwed by big corporations. And Trump now in Project 2025, they want to, right now Elon and his buddies are in the Medicare computers. And they're going after Social Security either today or tomorrow. But they're in the Medicare computers right now, and they want to change it so that when you sign up for Medicare, instead of your default option being Real Medicare and a secondary option being, oh, there's also Medicare Advantage, they want to change it so that when you call up and say, hey, I'm turning 65 and I need to sign up for Medicare, the person on the other end of the phone will say, well, which company do you want to buy a Medicare Advantage plan from? And won't even mention Real Medicare. Because their goal is to kill Real Medicare. And once Real Medicare is dead, it's dying right now. It's like 46% of all the people who are on Medicare are on Medicare, Real Medicare. 54% are on Medicare Advantage. But when it gets down to 20, 30%, then they'll just say, okay, we can just shut down Medicare now. Everybody has to go to Medicare Advantage. And once that happens, the Medicare Advantage providers are going to start really putting the screws to us. Because right now, they have to compete with Real Medicare. When Real Medicare is gone, Katie, bar the door. We're going to be back to denying people based on pre-existing conditions, in my humble opinion. Meanwhile, over at Google, they have figured out, keep in mind the CEO of Google gave $1 million, Sundar Pichai, I'm sure I'm mispronouncing his name, gave $1 million to Donald Trump's inauguration and attended the ceremony. And Google officially renamed the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America in accordance with Trump's executive order. But now they went a step farther. A lot of people use Google Calendar. Google Calendar is a very popular app. It interfaces with, most phones, smartphones and computer systems and whatnot. And, typically it has told you about holidays. Well, Google Calendar just deleted the following. Pride Month? We don't want any queer people. Black History Month? No more black people. Indigenous Peoples Month? The hell with the Indians. Hispanic History Month? Oh, those brown people. Jewish Heritage Month? Oh, we don't need to know about the Jews. Holocaust Remembrance Day? Google has removed all of these from Google Calendar, presumably to kiss Trump's ass. I can't think of any other reason.